able to head along and check out the show.
Yeah, we're excited to be putting it on.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the show and how it's all come together and what your role is with the show.
So my role in the show is pretty busy. I'm a co-director, and I also perform in the show. So there's a little bit on my plate, but that's okay. And the show's come together. It's been a little bit of a rocky process. Most of the artists in the production were in Melbourne during all of the lockdowns. So a lot of the development of the work was done via Zoom, with little weekly check-ins and group meetings via distance. And then it's only actually become a fully fledged show with all of us in the room working together from January this year.
Wow, tell us a little bit about what the last couple of years has been like for you as a performer. Was it difficult to do everything for this show through Zoom through all that time?
Yeah, it definitely was a little bit challenging, but also because of the style of show. So Cab Suave is a film noir themed circus show, and it's kind of done in a cabaret style with a narrator in between individual solo acts. And so because of that, everyone was able to work on their own solo acts by themselves, and then via Zoom we were able to work on the overall direction of how the show would look. So yeah, I think having to do the show via distance really influenced the style and structure of the show.
Yeah, definitely. And I could imagine it would be difficult for some people to even do their solo parts at home. I mean, I know for myself, doing radio from home, it became very difficult after a while. But if you're putting things like fire eating and juggling fire and doing acrobatics at home, that must have been quite difficult for a lot of the performers.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the trickiest one was some of our performers do aerial apparatus, which obviously you need rigging and lots of height to be able to set up, or have do circus acts that need a lot of floor space. And yeah, obviously those people couldn't train those specific acts, but they could do things like find the music for the act and work on the sometimes the choreography or the character and those kind of elements. In fact, fire was one of the only ones that could be rehearsed. So my partner Winter is also in the show, and she does fire.
Yeah.
So we'd be out rehearsing the fire act at night in the car park of our apartment complex, and everyone else would be sitting in their apartments watching us put on a little show.
I was going to ask, was there any phone calls to the MFB or the CFA at all? Because I know in our area, as soon as someone sees fire, they're straight on the phone.
No, thankfully not. We're very fire safe.
Yep.
And yeah, I think on the middle of a bitumen car park. No.
Awesome. So Latonya, tell us a little bit about where the idea came about to set this all around film noir.
So a bunch of people in the cast, myself included, we really love different genres of film and really enjoy watching vintage movies and really enjoy the aesthetic of the film noir genre. But also we're all pretty feminist. The cast is majority LGBT, and so I guess the core concept from the show was how can we meld the things we really like about film noir, but with a much less misogynistic kind of storyline than you might typically see.
Yeah.
In a film noir movie.
Was that a difficult process, and how many of you were able to sit down and work that out?
Yeah, so we all, the script was co-written by Abby Kelso, who's the other co-director of the show, and Jack Wild, who's the MC. And so they made the script together, and then they would bring, via Google Doc to our Zoom meetings the script, and we could all then, as a group of 5, go through it and be like, oh, I think we need to change that, or that isn't quite sending the message that we want to send. And it was a difficult process of how to include the kind of tropes or the archetypes of film noir and how it kind of read as being part of that genre whilst also telling a story that we all enjoyed. And the way that we found to do that was with an unreliable narrator.
Yep.
So when the show starts, it's narrated in a film noir style by a PI detective. And at the start of the show, he seems very suave and very classic film noir. But as the show progresses, it becomes really clear that he's like maybe a bit of a himbo. He doesn't really know what's going on, and the story that he is telling is really contradicted by what the audience is actually seeing happen on stage. And so that's kind of the main element that we've played with in kind of trying to flip the script on film noir.
Definitely. And the other element there, of course, with the script as well, is having to incorporate the different acts. Is there a lot of discussion amongst the cast and amongst the writers about this is the perfect part for this act, or this scene is perfect for this act? How does that all get worked out?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a complicated process. There's a few things in Circus. It went both ways, where the script we were like, oh, this would be the perfect fit, but there's also some limitations in Circus. For example, one of the acts is a Rusia, which is like a large metal, it kind of looks like a really big hula hoop, but it's made out of metal, and a performer stands in it and spins around the stage. And so for that act, we needed to have a clear stage. So we had to put that act first, because after that, the show has a set that comes in.
Yep.
And so structurally then we had to work out, okay, how can we make this act be the first act and fit that in with the story? But then, a lot of other acts in that position were really influenced by the script. I think for us, the setting of the show takes place in a cabaret. And so we really wanted to avoid the kind of feeling sometimes when you see a circus show and they've done a narrative, they come up with these really complicated reasons why someone might be doing something. Like maybe they're a postman and they've got a mail bag and it's full of parcels, and then they juggle the parcels. Whereas we've tried to make it in a setting where it makes sense for there to be circus acts.
Definitely. And where did your love for circus come from? Is it something that's been a lifelong passion for you?
Yeah, well, the company that is producing the show, Sparkle Society, that's a company that's run by myself and Abby Kelso, and we both met as students at a youth circus school in Brisbane called Flipside Circus when we were 14.
Yep.
So they and I have been working together and performing together since then. And we were really privileged that when we were at Flipside, our trainers and coaches were professional circus artists as well in their own right. And so as we were growing up, we got to see them perform and see the kind of work that they were creating. And it just made it feel like that would be really possible for us to do as well. Like we had such good role models in how to be successful in the arts and how to pursue those kind of dreams.
Yeah, I had the privilege a few years ago of working with a group of teenagers that had got themselves in trouble with the law, and we got them into a circus school here in Melbourne, and the personal development that I saw amongst those teenagers when they learnt different skills and learnt that they could do so many of these things was just absolutely amazing. For young people out there who are thinking about getting involved with circus, what would your advice be for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I personally love circus for anyone who's wanting to get active. I tried ballet and gymnastics and all those kind of things when I was a little kid, and I just couldn't stick with any of them. There was too much focus on discipline and doing everything in the exact same kind of way, whereas circus, I feel, has so much more flexibility and creativity. If anybody is keen, there's circus schools all over Australia if you Google them, and I know a lot of them also run programs for maybe disadvantaged youth and things like that, and so it's definitely worth looking into, even if it does seem like something that might be too expensive or out of reach. I think a lot of places do offer programs to help people out, and so it's definitely worth asking about.
Definitely. And for all of our listeners out there who are thinking about heading along to the show, it's from the 31st of March to the 10th of April as part of the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and it's in a 500-seat big top at Reunion Park. Latonya, what can you tell us about the venue? The venue sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, it's really exciting. It's a new venue. So it's in Burnley. They have 2 venues there, a 1,000-seater concert venue, and then the 500-seat big top that we're in. They're making it a really fun festival hub, with like food trucks and market stalls and entertainment. There's a whole bunch of really cool shows happening. So it's definitely going to be like a great time to come and, have a drink, have some dinner, see a show. Yeah, we're really excited to be there.
Definitely. And for all our listeners, again, the dates for the show will be up on our website, but it's running as part of the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and it is at Reunion Park in Burnley. Latonya, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute privilege chatting to you, and I cannot wait to head along and check out this show.
Yeah, amazing. Love to see you there.